In the last decade or so, Atletico Madrid have more often than not been the third best team in La Liga behind the great Barcelona and Real Madrid. But for just one campaign, they finished top of the tree. So today, we're going to look back at that starting 11 of the team that won the Liga in 2013-14. First off, and it's in between the sticks, and sorry Atletico Madrid fans, it's probably the one player you don't want to hear about because he is currently playing at crosstown rivals Real Madrid. That is goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois. He was actually on loan at Atletico Madrid for 3 seasons from Chelsea, and then after doing so well and winning La Liga and a host of other trophies in his time, he went straight back to Stamford Bridge and was their number 1. After a couple of Premier League titles there, Real Madrid came calling, and looking back, although he had a poor first season, massively improved in his second season at Real Madrid, well, 35 million is actually a pretty good record. In fact, I think it's a record for a goalkeeper in La Liga, overtaking Atletico Madrid's very own Jan Oblak. At the moment, it's quite a tough one. I'm not actually sure who I'd rather have in goal. Anyway, Thibaut Courtois is the number 1 at Real Madrid at the moment and will be there to haunt his rivals, I'm sure, whenever he can. So next up, I'm moving into the right back spot, and a legend for Atletico Madrid who was there for 8 years, and it's Juanfran. In fact, although he's currently playing at Sao Paulo in Brazil after leaving the club last summer, it looks like he could be returning in more of a sporting director role. There has already been a little bit of change in Diego Simeone's backroom staff. German Burgos, the assistant manager, has said that he'll be leaving to try and become a head coach all by himself. Former midfielder Gabi says he'll be returning to the club as an assistant manager, and Juanfran, well, he wants to return as sporting director. Of course, his playing days aren't over just yet, but getting well into his mid-30s, it looks like it'll only be a matter of time before he returns to Spain. Moving into the central defensive role alongside Juanfran, another absolute stalwart. And for me, someone who really just personified this whole Atletico Madrid era under Diego Simeone, Diego Godin. The Uruguayan is an absolute mammoth defender, and although he's currently plying his trade not so well in Serie A with Inter Milan, he will definitely be remembered for that final day equalising goal against Barcelona. Yep. Godin nodded the ball in from the corner to give Atletico the 1-1 draw away at Barca on the last day of the season that saw them lift their first La Liga title in 18 years. In fact, he was up to his old tricks a week later as he put them ahead in the Champions League final, but then Sergio Ramos happened, and then Real Madrid won the Champions League. I'm sorry, I don't want to bring it up. It's probably still too painful for Atleti fans. Anyway, Godin is now at Inter Milan, much like his central defensive partner was back in 2013-14 season. That was Miranda. Now, he moved to Inter Milan a little bit earlier than Godin did back in 2015, but the Brazilian had a really impressive season. I mean, he wasn't just good, he was fantastic. This backline conceded just 26 goals in 38 La Liga games, and he was so good that he was nominated for the best defender of the season alongside Sergio Ramos and the player he played alongside. After Inter Milan, he did join Jiangsu Suning in the Chinese Super League, and that is currently where Miranda plays. But back to the other defender that was also nominated alongside him for Defender of the Year, it's Felipe Luiz. Another player who just couldn't stay away from Atletico Madrid. He had 1 season after this title victory, actually, where he moved to Chelsea, to the Premier League, played about 15 or 16 games in the Premier League and just wasn't really for him. Straight back to Atletico. He has been such a phenomenal servant to the club, and even getting into his mid-30s, he's still a really good player. Yes, he is getting a little bit older, and they brought in Renan Lodi, who's a fantastic left-back to fill his position, but you could not underestimate what he provided for this team down the left-hand side during that season. Anyway, at the moment, he is in Brazil and finds himself at Flamengo, where he joined last summer and was a part of their successful Copa Libertadores campaign. So moving into midfield, and this is so typical Atletico Madrid system, he wasn't a winger. He was a wide midfielder, and it's Koke, and he's unbelievably still in the first team 11 years after his debut, 20 years after he joined the club as an 8-year-old. He's still 28, and he's like 8th on the all-time appearance list for Atletico Madrid. He's been a stalwart of this team, he's played in numerous positions, done numerous jobs, and for me, alongside Diego Godin, really just sums up Diego Simeone's role. He's like the embodiment of Simeone just on the pitch, and maybe a little bit better than the Argentine was. Anyway, Koke has been a brilliant player for Atletico and deservedly been a massive part of everything that they've won over the last decade, including the Europa Leagues as well, and a Copa del Rey to boot. Couple of Super Cups as well in there also. So, alongside this, and with him being number 8 on the all-time appearance list, number 7 was his midfield compatriot who is now playing in Qatar. That is Gabi. The defensive midfielder in this role was just so crucial for the team. There was a very sort of attacking style of play when Atletico Madrid got the ball, but Gabi was always on hand to do the defensive duty. He may not necessarily got all the plaudits, but my word, was he an important cog in this machine. The midfielder now, as I said, currently playing for Al Sadd in the Qatari League, where he's won the cup and the league, was so good, and yeah, there's not really much else to say about it. He's just another one who seemed to be so ridiculously loyal to Atletico and to Diego Simeone. That's really a theme throughout this whole video. So alongside Gabi doing the defensive work and maybe more of the attacking midfielder was Raul Garcia. Now, his involvement is honestly more amazing to me because it didn't quite look like he had a future at the club. It was only a few seasons before that he was on loan at Osasuna. It was there that he really found his goal-scoring touch and turned into a brilliant attacking midfielder. In a 4-4-2 though, you can't always be so attacking. Like, he wasn't a number 10. There's no way you could just have one sick defensive midfielder and a number 10. He definitely needed to be, get about the pitch and be a lot steelier when it came to the tackle and doing the hard work. But as with many players under Diego Simeone, that's exactly what he did. As I say, the most impressive thing is that he not only came back to Atletico Madrid after going out on loan, he found his way into the first team and managed to score 18 goals in 53 appearances in all competitions that season. I mean, it's just super impressive. Anyway, after that, he moved on to Athletic Bilbao because he obviously likes the name Athletic and the colours red and white, so he didn't have to change too much. He is still there, actually, at Athletic Bilbao. So next up and to the left-hand side of the midfield, and this is where things get a little bit crazy because it's Arda Turan. Now, he was brilliant. Such a phenomenal player during this season. Didn't always have the stats to back it up, but was such a key part to this team. So, a couple of years later, obviously deemed good enough that Barcelona wanted to sign him. Unfortunately for him, he was signed when Barcelona had a transfer ban, meaning that his debut didn't come till 6 months after he signed. So, that was not exactly the greatest start to life at the Camp Nou. So a couple of years went by and Turan basically just joined in with the Barcelona squad's victories. Picked up a couple of Copa del Reys, a couple of La Ligas in there as well, but he wasn't necessarily the standout individual that they thought they were signing when they brought him in from Atletico. He did score a hat-trick in the Champions League, making him one of the rare players to do such for Barcelona, along with such greats like Messi, Neymar and Rivaldo. But then came a loan move to Başakşehir. Now, once he moved to Turkey, things went a little bit sour. So there was a red card that he got for pushing an official. This was after disagreeing with an offside ruling, and after that, he got a 16-match ban. This was the longest in the history of Turkish football. I think it was reduced to like 10 afterwards, but even so, utterly ridiculous. Anyway, the more ridiculous stuff was to come after that. He spent a few more seasons on loan at Başakşehir and was given a suspended prison sentence for apparently unlawfully firing a firearm. I have no idea what's going on. This all seems a little bit crazy. I don't want to delve too much into it because maybe it's a lot of hearsay. Anyway, the sentence was suspended. Başakşehir cancelled his loan deal at the beginning of this year, and technically he's still a Barcelona player. Anyway, this has got way off track, but yeah, things have really taken a bit of an odd turn, let's say, since leaving pretty much Atletico Madrid. So with the two banks of four thoroughly set up, we now come to the strikers, the main goal-getters of this successful Atletico side. The first one was David Villa. Now, rather interestingly, this was actually like David Villa's swan song, if you will, in European football. It was his last season in football on the continent before he'd travel to all corners of the globe, finding all sorts of exciting adventures, and he signed from Barca for just 5.1 million. That's a great deal in itself. 13 league goals and 36 appearances, another good return for the striker, and well, it seems like he was just the perfect fit just for that one season. After helping them win the title, of course, he had loads of experience helping Barcelona win titles as well. He then moved to New York City FC, who at the time were a brand new team in the MLS, but before the season started with them, he went on loan to their sister club, Melbourne City FC. They're also the same group that owns Manchester City as well. Played a few games in Australia, then came back and was the first ever captain of New York City FC. Spent 4 brilliant years there alongside the likes of Frank Lampard and Andrea Pirlo. And then, for one last ride, he joined former teammate Andres Iniesta at Vissel Kobe in Japan. He actually won the Emperor's Cup there, which was his first silverware in Japan and the last of his career. Finally, he retired this January with a final goal in his final game in a career that has seen him score over 400 club goals. As for what he's doing now, well, he's decided to become a part owner for Queensborough FC, based in Queens, New York. And lastly but not least, you guys were waiting for this one, I know you were. He's still there. Diego Costa. Actually, a similar story to Felipe Luiz. Costa was so good, went to Chelsea for a few seasons where he was also very good as well, and then made the move back to Atletico Madrid. All for Alvaro Morata to just follow him as well. Anyway, Costa back then wasn't only a bully of one defender, he was bullying whole defences. He was unbelievable this season. In fact, in the La Liga, he managed to get 27 goals, meaning he was third in the goal scoring charts, only behind Messi and Ronaldo. Obviously, it's going to be kind of difficult to overtake those two, especially they were going through their prime years. Of course, Ronaldo would have the last laugh as well when his team won in the Champions League Final, but Diego Costa took home the La Liga title, especially as I mentioned with that last day draw against Barcelona. That must have been a sweet, sweet feeling. Anyway, he was brilliant then, not so much now. He is back at Atletico Madrid, but it looks like he's getting in more fights and getting more red cards than he is goals at the moment. He's someone who bleeds for the club and is still a useful player to have. I'm just not so sure he's definitely going to be a good striker moving forward. I mean, they're not going to get much by selling him at the moment, so it makes no sense, and he's probably just someone good to have around the club. Anyway, if he can help the likes of João Felix to shine and come through and really be a top player, Atletico Madrid could maybe have another top team on their hands. So there you have it. That is all from me. There is the 2013-14 winning La Liga Atletico Madrid side and what they're up to now. Of course, things aren't much so different because most of them are still playing football. Anyway, you guys let me know what you thought of this team and how you reckon they get on in La Liga now. Would they be able to finally win a Champions League as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Smash the like button and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.